Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today.
Hello, today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things you do not need to get your coaching or service-based business off the ground. And I'm not sure if this video started already or not, so I'm going to say the title one more time. Here are 5 things you don't need to get your coaching business or service-based business off the ground. And the reason I wanted to make this video is I work with so many clients who come to me on discovery calls or join my Inner Circle program and have been bombarded with entrepreneurial information that is making them feel like they need to have all these things in place before they start their business, and it's not true. So it's kind of like if you guys work with health coaching clients or something and your clients come to you and say, well, I need to have a meal plan, or I need to have I need to work out a couple times by myself first, or I need to learn more, read more nutrition books before I can get started with healthy eating or working out. And you as the coach are like, wait a second, hold on. You actually don't need those things. And here's what you do need. Here's, what you do need to be consistent with, things like that. So let's talk about what you do not need and some common misconceptions when starting your business. The first thing is you may feel like you really need a niche, but here's where it backfires, and here's what you do not need. You do not need to use a niche against yourself. Now, let me explain what I mean. I have a free niche training, by the way, at haileyrowe.com. So if you are trying to figure out your elevator pitch or what you want to even do, what kind of service you want to offer, who you want to offer it to, it can help you get that baseline of clarity so that you have a clear message. So I agree that you do need to have some kind of message. You do need to have something, a way to answer the question, hey, what do you do? But here's where people get it wrong, and here's what you don't need. You don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to overthink, is this the right niche for the rest of my life that I'm going to be married to for 45 years? Am I picking the right one? Is this niche good enough? Like, a lot of you overthink it. And so that's what I do not want you to do. So here's the good news. You are allowed to evolve your niche over time, meaning you may start with a niche that is divorced women, and over time as a relationship coach, you may evolve to later on helping both divorced women and married women who are unhappy in their marriage or something like that. So you are allowed to evolve over time, but you do need to pick something to give yourself clarity. And here's the other thing. You are allowed to tailor your niche locally, for example, compared to online. So what I mean by that is, if you are a new business owner and you're trying to get out there and you're trying to coach people and you can help, you're certified in life coaching or you're certified in wellness coaching for any demographic, locally, if you're looking for opportunities to get out there, don't ignore trying to get opportunities, at a country club helping golfers and say, I can't do that because that's not my niche. When you're trying to expand locally, it's a good idea to be adaptable. It's a good idea to tailor your message based on the situation and based on where you want to get out there in your community. Whereas online, I do think it's good to have a niche and have a clear message that people can remember you by, because it's more crowded And it's something where you're going to be posting and creating your brand in a sense. And so in that case, you do want to have a clear message, but don't use it against yourself. If you find yourself overthinking it, or you find yourself not letting yourself get started with putting yourself out there or networking or things like that, all because you feel like your niche isn't locked down, stop doing that to yourself. Just start and have a somewhat of a message and allow it to evolve over time. The other thing that happens with this niche thing is people niche hop. So that's another thing you don't need to do. You don't need to change your niche every 2 weeks or every month just because it's not taking off yet. It may just be you need a refinement to your messaging. It may be that you need to, up level your clear, outcomes that you help people with, but you don't need to niche hop. And you also, this is the last thing that happens with the niche, and then I'll move on. But you also do not need to figure out your niche before you get more business support. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, "Oh, I want to join the inner circle, but I haven't figured out my niche yet. So I need to get clear on that, and then I'll come back to you." Whereas step one in the program is getting clear on your message or your niche. And it's like saying, I need to go to the gym to get fit, but I need to work out a couple times by myself before I can feel confident walking into the gym. And that is not true. You go to the gym to learn the moves, to learn fitness, to start fitness, and you don't just, think that you need to be the expert and figure it all out by yourself before you even step foot into a gym. So that's the first thing, is you don't need to use your niche against yourself. You don't need to overthink your niche. You just need a message you can work with that can evolve over time that you can start with. Now, the other thing that you do not need to get started in your business and get your first sales is a website. A lot of people think, I need to get my website fully developed. I need a logo. I need it to look perfect before I can go out into the world and tell people that I'm a coach and that I can help. And that is not true. Because I can tell you this, I set up a website when I first started my first little baby business, and I ended up having to redo every single thing on that website because I started the website before I had proof of concept of what kind of language my audience was responding to, what kind of offers they were interested in, and what kind of language that worked. So I had to end up, once I set up my website, I had to go back and pay again to redo it because I didn't get proof of concept first before creating my website. So my recommendation to you, if you're watching this, is rather than wait to put out an offer, market yourself, network, create content, etc. until you have a website, no. Do that stuff first to start getting some feedback, to start getting your first sale. And then once you know what has worked, or once you know what kind of language your audience is gravitating towards, you can create a website with that kind of copy and that kind of thing. The other thing with websites, a lot of times my clients come to me and they wonder what kind of structure to follow and what things to include on their website, and should they list their pricing or not list their pricing and that kind of thing. And what I love is when my clients come to me when they're starting their website from scratch and we can make it right the first time, compared to them coming to me with something that they thought they needed and they paid thousands of dollars for, and then they realize that the structure's off, or the call to actions aren't clear, and the language needs editing, and they don't know how to edit it, and they don't know, what they're doing because they just thought they needed that first and rushed to get it done and hired somebody, and then they have no control over it. So one thing I suggest if you're going to create a website is make sure you're doing it at a point in your business where you have a clear idea of what your audience responds well to, and you know what you want to offer, and you have good messaging. And ideally, we'd be able to work together on what the structure should be from the get-go compared to recreating it. Okay, the next thing is just a side note with your website. And I'll tell you a quick story. When I first started my business, I thought I had the best idea ever for a freebie, like an email freebie. And I wrote this incredibly long ebook and marketed it on my website, and realized only to find that nobody wanted a long ebook. Nobody cared. and I had to recreate it. And when I started to listen to my ideal clients and their language and what they wanted and make things based on what they wanted rather than what I thought ahead of time that they wanted, that's when people said to me, "Oh, it's like you're in my head when I'm reading your website." Or when I'm on discovery calls with people, they'll say, "Oh, I really resonated with your story about how you went from unemployed and one uncommitted client to a full-time coaching business." And that was all because I listened to my audience and I made sure that the kind of things I'm listing on my website are things that are relevant to them, that they care about, and not extraneous details they don't care about, or ebooks I think they need that they don't want, right? So that's really a powerful lesson, is don't go and make something completely and spend hours and hours and hours on end on it unless you have a little bit of an indication that there's some interest, there is, it's aligned with the language your audience is using, that kind of thing. Okay, the next thing that you do not need to get started in your business is more than one offer. A lot of times I'll see people say, well, I need to create a membership and a course and private coaching, or I need to create a group program and private coaching before I can fully launch. And the truth is, you need one offer to begin with. And it's actually a lot easier and better and faster to grow your business with one offer and have that constraint or focus, compared to confusing your audience with a million different offers and a million different decisions they have to make and that kind of thing. Now, one thing I will tell you is it is a good idea to have a downsell, meaning it is a good idea to have a big offer that's probably high ticket, and then maybe a downsell offer that is a little lower priced, or an entry level thing that people could do if they're not ready for the bigger offer. But it doesn't have to be a separate offer. It could be a scaled back version of your main offer, so it's less confusing. So for example, if you do 6-month coaching and it's this whole framework and you help people achieve XYZ, you may have a 8-week version or a 1-month version or something as a downsell that's just either one part of the program, or a scaled back version or something like that, or a trial period or something to then see if they want to upsell or whatever. So that is something that you could do if you're worried about, oh, well, what if not everybody's ready for my big offer? That's an option for you. Okay, the next thing you do not need is a fully fleshed out content plan. I know this one's gonna upset my type A's who feel like they can't do anything unless they have a 6-month content plan all batched and ready, or they can't start posting yet unless they have the whole week planned. And I will tell you, if you're a mom or you're working full-time or you are transitioning into coaching, every day's not going to be perfect. You're not going to have the perfect plan. It's not going to all be fleshed out. You're going to have to adapt and evolve as you go. And so what you do need is to have a clear idea of what are your content pillars, meaning what are the topics and themes that you stay within in your business and post about and that your audience finds interesting. And then you do need to have content ideas that you can pull off of when it's time to do your content. So I do recommend having like a brain dump list of different maybe potential headlines you could use, or objections you need to bust through and post, or value types of posts that you've thought of as ideas, or social proof testimonials you could share. Like, it is a good idea to have a running list of ideas, but do you need to write them all out perfectly and batch them 6 months up front before you get started? No. What happened with this video that I'm making right now is yesterday I had this idea to do this video. I wrote down my bullet points. I wrote down some sub bullet points within each part of the video I wanted to go through. And now I'm here doing it, reading off my notes. That's it. I didn't batch it 6 months in advance. I could, and you can get to a point in your business where you will have to be more strategic in planning up front and, doing that kind of stuff, but you have to start somewhere. And for most of you, it's going to be starting with, what does my audience need to hear today? What kind of things do I want them to know? How do I want them to feel? Come up with an idea and go for it. Do it, write it, whatever. Give yourself a timeline and post it and start to get the feedback. Because if you're a new business owner and you batch 6 months or 3 months or 1 month of content up front, only to find that your audience doesn't even resonate with what you thought they would resonate with, and you're finding different information, you're going to have to change it again, just like with the website I mentioned, right? So I know many of you don't like flying by the seat of your pants, and I'm not saying you have to do that. You can batch up front if it works for you. But what most of you are doing is you're saying you're going to batch up front, and then you never do it, and then you never post content. So we have to start somewhere. Okay, the next thing is just a recap. So let's recap the things you do not need to start your business and get it off the ground. You don't need to use your niche against yourself and overthink your niche. You don't need a website. You don't need more than one offer. You don't need a million, oh, I missed this one. You don't need a million different social media platforms at once, okay? We have to pick, where does your ideal clients hang out the most, if you had to take a guess, and what's the platform you feel you can be the most consistent with, and that's where you're gonna start. So I'll tell you where I got my first clients. I got my first clients from a couple things. One was past people I knew in my network who I did market research with. Those were my first clients. So word of mouth, that's going to be the platform for many of you, even though it's not a platform. It's going to be the method for many of you, is to start a referral program or start some kind of word of mouth opportunity for people to share your services with their friends and family and have some kind of fun way of them doing that, or why they'd want to do that. The other way I got my first clients was in Facebook groups, posting valuable things, sharing answers to people's questions in Facebook groups, and people reached out, and that was how I got my first clients that were strangers, which was very exciting because we all know those first clients are usually people you know already, and then you branch out into stranger world, and it's so thrilling. You're like, oh my gosh, a stranger signed up. I am a real business owner. That's like a rite of passage. And then the next clients I got was from a hashtag I used on Instagram. Now, this was years ago when hashtags were more useful for getting clients, but that's how I got my first clients. So for those of you listening, pick one thing, whether it's networking in Facebook groups, going to local networking events, starting a word of mouth referral program, whatever it is, start with that, and then you can expand more platforms. You can expand to more social media platforms. Now, the only caveat I'll say to that is if it's really easy for you to repurpose a post on multiple platforms, then you can do that if it's not stressful for you. But if it is stressful and it's causing you to not stay focused or consistent with any platform, then I say constrain and pick one. Okay, so that was the other one. And then fleshed out content plan. You don't need a fully fleshed out content plan. You need ideas, you need pillars, and you need one idea today to post and implement. Okay, last but not least, I do want to share just 3 things that I have seen my most successful clients do when they're starting their business. So we've been talking about things that you don't need. Here's some things you actually do need. The first thing you need to do if you want to get your business off the ground is learn how to stop the when then fallacy. Now let me explain what I mean by that. If you keep saying to yourself, I will start my business, or I will post consistently, or I will, reach out to those local collab partners when I perfectly know my niche, when kids' soccer season is over, when I get back from vacation. This is halting your business growth, because life is going to always have vacations. It's always going to have kids' soccer season, and it's always going to have content blocks, questions you want to overthink in your business, things like that. So we have to learn how to stop saying, I will start when, and then instead say, how can I start now with the conditions I'm dealing with right now? So you may have seasons where you post more because kids are off of soccer season and you have more time, but that doesn't mean you don't post at all or do anything for your business or get support with your business when times are busier. You have to learn how to be busier while having a business. And what does that look like for you? And what does it look like in the different seasons? The other thing that I see is like, I will get support with my business and strategy, even though, I feel like I don't know where to start. I have no plan. I don't know what I'm doing, but I need to just make some money right now on my own first before getting help. And that can work for some of you, but for some of you, it is not the most reasonable thing to think that, you wouldn't move faster or make more income by having strategy, support, structure, a coach, a plan, a program, whatever. So sometimes I will have discovery calls with people who they do say, here's my plan for right now. Here's what I'm going to do in the next 30 days to go get clients. And when I do, I will have more to invest in XYZ program or with you or whatever. And some, 5% of the time that happens, they do it, it works, and then they sign up. But 95% of the time, it's the when then fallacy all over again. It's when I get fit, I'll start going to the gym. Okay, but going to the gym is how you get fit, right? It's that when then fallacy. So don't let that stop you. Don't let busy season stop you. You have to find a way to work your business in. It may not be the most perfect way you want it, but it has to start somewhere. Okay, the other thing I'll say about succeeding, as getting your business off the ground and what you need to be able to do that is the ability to download your brain, meaning you're going to have a lot of thoughts while you start your business. Every step is going to have a learning curve. It's going to have obstacles you didn't foresee. It's going to take longer than you thought. And so what we need to do is have impeccable management of our mindset. And in order to do that, we have to be able to look at the thoughts we're having. So getting in a rhythm of doing a brain dump or writing down your thoughts in some way and having a way to see them and not let them rule you, but instead be the observer of them and decide consciously how you want to respond to them is going to be really key if you want to expand your visibility, overcome fear and self-doubt, things like that. And the other thing I'll share just about, starting and getting your business off the ground is a lot of times things will take longer than you thought. However, you can get so much out of being intentional and having support compared to flying by the seat of your pants. So what I mean by that is I had a client who said in just a couple of hours of us working together, she got more done than she had gotten done in 10 months previously in her business in just a few hours. Just because she had someone she could ask, work through the things with, show the things to, who's been through it, and give her feedback. So I want you to look at your business and ask yourself, are there things that I am maybe overcomplicating or that don't have to take as long as I think, and ways I can be more intentional and conscious and, mentally clean about the task at hand and getting help with the task and seeing it all as data and going from there? Or are there things that, just basically asking yourself, are there things in your business where maybe you could use some help? Maybe you're overcomplicating it, or maybe you have messy mindset thoughts around it that need to be worked on, that once you do work on those things, you're going to be very freed up to just do the task instead of sit with the task and be drowning in it and overthinking it and procrastinating it. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. And if you are interested in getting business support in the new year, as far as, you want to attract more clients, you want to stop overthinking your offer or your niche and know what your message is, or maybe you want to rework your message because you feel like it's not landing, things like that, you can go to HaileyRowe.com, schedule a free consult, and learn more about the Inner Circle and my 30-day sales challenge that I'm running on my private client podcast and all the juicy things. All right, have a great day.
Thanks so much for listening to this podcast, and if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.